Now I've got a fun video for you today, and it could be helpful to a lot of tyers out there. And it's one of the main ways I save money with tying materials. If you've tied for a while, you know that a package of dubbing like this can cost you over $20, and then these smaller packages, probably $4 to $5 each, and there's not even that much in them. But I'm going to show you how you can make your own dubbing a little bit cheaper than that. And I'm going to walk you through how I do it, show you exactly what you need, where you can get it pretty cheaply, and then the process for making some pretty cool blends. And really, about the only thing you truly need is a pelt or patch of fur. And I'm going to show you with a squirrel because I found this guy on my walk this morning. Now, if you are fortunate enough to live in the country, you probably already know that roadkill can be a pretty good source of free materials. So no judgment here on how you get your pelts. I get plenty of squirrels and raccoons and possums on the side of the road, and a couple of times a year I'll even find a fox. And I've made dubbing blends out of all of those. But if you're not so lucky to have easy access to roadkill, I've got a pretty good source of furs. If you're not familiar with Glacier Wear, check them out. Now, I'm not shilling for them. They don't sponsor me. They have no idea I'm making this video. They're just a pretty good supplier. They've got a lot of different materials and some really good prices. I mean, look at this. Their squirrel pelts are $9. Compare that to over $20 at a fly shop. Their rabbit pelts are only $5, and sometimes they're on sale for about $3. They've even got a skunk pelt for $9. Now, I already have a skunk. I've never made dubbing out of it, but it could be a fun blend to try. Now, one last note on Glacier Wear. I think the best bargain they offer is a pound of scrap, furs, and trimmings for $13. And a pound of fur is a lot of fur. 1 pound filled up these 2 totes. Now, you never know exactly what you're going to get, but that's also what makes it kind of fun. So after a pelt, the next thing you're going to want is some yarn. You can get a skein like this from Walmart for just a couple of dollars. Just make sure it's acrylic. Cotton does not blend very well. Wool will blend, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive than this acrylic. And if you get yarn like this, you're going to have all the colors you'll need. Now just separate the colors and store them in sandwich bags. Now the next thing you might want, though this isn't vital, is a pair of cheap clippers. These, $12 on Amazon. Now you could do this first step with scissors, but these are just a little bit quicker. And if you find yourself with a need for shaving a lot of pelts, probably worth the investment. So what I'll do with an animal, especially if it's roadkill, I'll go ahead and shave the whole thing and then put that fur in a Ziploc bag. And you'll get a pretty good bit of fur just from one squirrel. Now, up to you if you want to use the white belly fur. I usually do and just put it all in the bag and then shake it up and get a pretty good mix. And that is a pretty good dubbing blend already. You could use this as is on a lot of flies. But if you want to make it just a little bit fancier, make it a little bit easier to dub and mix in a little bit of color, that's where the acrylic yarn comes in. Just take whatever colors you want, cut it into small 1/2 inch pieces, maybe a little bit less, maybe 3/8 inch. Then take some of the yarn and the fur and mix it together. And I usually do about a 50-50 mix, but use whatever proportion you like to get a blend that works for you. And you could do this with your fingers or something like a pet brush, but what really makes this easier is a pretty simple little coffee grinder. And this one by Krups, it's pretty basic. I checked today, it's $25 on Amazon. It was probably a little cheaper when I bought it several years ago, but I also checked and Walmart's basic coffee grinder is only $15. So if you find yourself mixing a lot of dubbing by hand, consider picking one of these up. It's definitely worth it. And how you use it, just put a little bit of fur in it, give it a spin. And this 100% squirrel is perfectly fine dubbing as is, but put a little bit of acrylic yarn in it, you'll give it a little bit of color and make it a little bit easier to dub on your thread. Now the next thing you're going to want is just something to keep this dubbing in. And plastic sandwich bags would be just fine, but I like getting something like this. Just a little container, a couple dollars from Walmart or Michael's, and I'll take a 1/4 inch drill holes in the bottom just to make it easy to take it out. Now if you want to get even fancier, Wapsi sells these actual dubbing containers. And I checked this morning, about $4, just search for Wapsi dubbing dispenser. And sometimes you'll find them on sale. Jay Stockard had them on sale for $2 a couple years ago, so I picked up a dozen and still have a few of them left. And then you just blend whatever colors you want and stuff them in the container. Now one last bonus tip, and I do this a lot with my squirrel dubbing, not always rabbit or raccoon, but you certainly could. I mix a little flash in some of mine. I'll use these Angelina fibers and cut them into, just like the yarn, into 1/2-inch little pieces. Put it in the coffee grinder and blend it all up. And what I'll end up with is really 6 different color blends. I got natural right here, a little bit of brown, and then some olive. Then that's purple, pink, and yellow mixed in. And my bottom row here will be plain, and the top row is the same colors, but with a little bit of the flash in it. And then, like a nerd, I will label it with whatever the fur was and then the date I made it. So that's really it. What I just showed you was squirrel, but you can do this same process for any furs. Here's one with coyote I made a couple years ago. Here's one with seal. I've got a big container over there of rabbit. And here's one I made with just acrylic. And you can use this straight up dubbing as is if you ever have a need for a purely synthetic body. But what I will often do is just, if I'm making a few one-off flies, I'll just take the color I need, a little bit of this, and then a little bit of the fur I need, and then mix that up, just enough for how many flies I want to make. So there you go, a pretty simple process that could save you some money, but what I like most about it is it's just fun to experiment, play around making your own blends. So a quick recap of what you need. First off, a pelt. Whether you buy it online or it's scrap left over from your hunting or it's roadkill, doesn't matter. And then some yarn. Try to find acrylic, stay away from cotton. Wool will work, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Electric clippers, though not entirely necessary, does make it a little easier. Then a coffee grinder, also not 100% necessary, but for $15 or $20, definitely worth it. And then something to put it in. It really is that simple. So I appreciate you watching, everybody. Happy tying, take care. We'll see you next time.